welcome back, Mike Pittman, part two of our conversation. Oh my
Part
God.
two.
Part one was pretty darn great, I got to tell you. All right, let's get to know. We're talking about permission to want more, what's
Mhm,
next, and what's left, because,
mhm.
many of us are in that, however we want to call it. I like to think of it as the third act. So let's
Third
get to
act.
know you just a little bit better. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word is adventure. And I say that to say that life itself is just that. I watch I have grandchildren now. And
Okay.
it's fun to watch them from that moment where they begin to discover like everything around them is ooh, what's that? And they're so excited about every little accomplishment, when they're first able to crawl, they're first able to stand. And even though, like, in those things that they try to do, there's a lot of failure. But it doesn't stop them. Like, each time that they may stand up and kind of fall down, they go, okay, now I'm going to try it this way. And there's just that not giving up. The first moment they grab an object that they've been looking at for a while. And it's just, I think that when we grow up, some of that we grow out of the idea that small accomplishments are still a big deal, and to continue to get excited about the adventure of life. And so we reach a point that we feel like, okay, did it, and we stop going for the adventure. But I think that if as long as you keep looking at life like it's just that, then you'll continue to find excitement and fulfillment.
And that's such a great analogy for us who are farther along in this life journey, looking back from a children's point of view, how they do keep going. It's not like, whoops, I tried and now I'm not going to learn to walk. And they keep on, they persevere, they
Mhm.
keep going. That is so good
Yep.
for us to remember that. Oh my gosh, that's a great word. What about your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is maybe. When I was growing up, a lot of times we'd ask a parent or somebody in authority, hey, can we do whatever? And most of the time, when they said maybe, it usually meant no. And for whatever reason, not to make them the bad guy. But a lot of times, when we park an idea in the maybe category, we already are putting it in a mostly no. So either vote it up or down, or if you know it's something that you really want to do, say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make steps in this direction. Or say no, this is not for me. And be okay with that if it's really a no, because then you don't waste the time and the energy on something that you're probably not going to do anyway.
Oh my gosh. That is so true. How many times as a parent did we say maybe, but we really
Hmm.
meant no? We were just
Hmm.
softening the no, don't you think?
Softening the no.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that is so true. Oh, and I like the idea of stand on the yes or stand on the no. I mean, you don't,
Hmm.
yeah, that's very, very good. What about your favorite sound?
My favorite sound is a child's laughter. The delight, the sheer delight, because they laugh without care that anybody's listening or thinking they're laughing too loud. Or when it tickles them, it's just that full body, like, this is the greatest, and it's such a great sound.
It is. They're really in that moment, and it's
Hmm.
so infectious, right? Just
Hmm.
hearing that. And there's
100%.
something so pure about that, right?
Hmm.
Very
Yep,
pure.
100%.
What about your least favorite sound?
My least favorite sound, honestly, is out of all things, it's when somebody is finishing the last little bits on a plate and the fork drags across the plate. That weird, that's just, it gets under my skin. I know it's very menial, but it's just such an odd.
Oh,
It just every
no.
time I feel that. Ugh!
Yeah, so it's kind of like almost the fingernails on the chalkboard kind of thing. Of course, they don't have
On the
chalkboards anymore.
chalkboard.
Yeah, they have
Yep,
whiteboards, but that was an awful sound. So yeah,
that's
that's
true.
that
And think about
that
that.
scraping. I
Yep.
get you on that. I do. I do. Um,
Mhm.
have you ever been told you look like someone famous? And if so, who was that?
Um, I don't know how famous he was, but he was one of the coaches of the Lakers for a bit, Mike Brown. Um, and and it's funny. A friend of mine at work used to go, "Hey, there you are on TV again." And at first I was like, no, that's not me. And I'd look like, gosh, that dude kind of does look like me. And so, yeah, I would say that that would be the closest that I could look at also and go, yeah, gosh, the guy does kind of look like me.
Kind of see that. Okay, Mike Brown.
Hmm.
That's cool. Um, if you could donate $1 million to any charity, what charity would it be?
I would say anything that benefits. We're talking about this third act. Anything that benefits people that want to pursue their dreams in their third act. A lot of times when people get older, again, they give up because of they're running out of money, or once again, they're trying to be careful about these last steps. I think that it's almost like the make a wish thing. It's like here's some money towards doing that thing that you've always wanted to do. Whether like in my case, to here's some studio time for you to do this thing, or here's a place you've always wanted to go, but just never in your life had the time to go because you were working. So just to reward those that have just not been able to do it because they've just been busy making life work.
Right. Oh, I really like that, Mike. It's so generous and very thoughtful. I mean, you put some thought in there, and that is wonderful, really wonderful. Okay, I got to know you a little bit better. All right, we're going to head into our deep dive. Again, we're talking about permission to want more, what's
Mhm,
next, and what's left.
mhm.
Talked about this a little bit in part one, and you made the connection that grateful can be a form of settling. So how do you kind of make the distinction between gratitude and settling?
I would say gratitude is necessary, but it shouldn't be a stopping point. I believe that if you're not grateful, that it can stop you from moving on. Because when you're not grateful about where you're going, you find that your life feels like it has less value to you. Like, well, this is good, but I don't have this. And so every time you're living for that next moment without celebrating the things that you do have, but also the idea of once again not stopping. It's like, ooh, this is great. Now imagine what I could do with this. So you're celebrating what you have and building on that moment of gratitude, so it allows you to continue to have more joy in life. And I think it gives you more what's the word I'm looking for, courage to pursue the next step.
Mm-hmm. That's very well said. Um, I know that if finishing this, if I were brave, I would. So go ahead and finish because we talked maybe a little bit about it in part one.
If I were brave, I would I would fly. And I mean fly. I would learn to pilot a plane. One of my biggest fears is my fear of heights. And it's interesting. My wife always says, well, part of it is because you don't have any control when you're up there. If something went wrong in a car, I could grab the steering wheel or hit the brake. When I'm up in a plane, I don't know anything about the plane, so I couldn't do anything about it. So I'm embracing that idea. It's like, okay, as much as I would hate the idea of being that far off the ground, maybe if I overcame the idea of my fear and the loss of control, take some of that control and say, all right, I'm actually moving this plane. I'm actually making this thing work. And some of the fear would go away and I'd be able to actually enjoy the bird's eye view of the world that I otherwise would be sitting in my seat, kind of just like, oh, please just let us land safely.
Oh, I'm giggling because I think a lot of us can relate to that idea of the giving up of control when we're on a plane and we want to go somewhere and all the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts we have and then like I kind of will glance into the cockpit like, does the pilot look well rested? I mean, are they, do they
Yeah,
look like they're on their A game today?
100%.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can understand that. Now, for me, I don't know that I would want to become a pilot, but I like the fact that you're taking it to that level. Like if well, maybe if I learn more about it and I can do it
Mm-hmm.
myself, that is a
Mm-hmm.
very interesting way to kind of, gain some knowledge to help kind of work through. That's sometimes how we can turn down some fear, right? By
Yeah.
gaining knowledge about the thing. Okay, if age weren't a factor, I would.
If age were not a factor, I would I would go back into sports. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed running around and just playing with a ball or whatever. When my kids were younger, there was for a time I was able to kind of be a little better than them at the basketball stuff, and then they grew up and they got to a point where it was like Dad can't keep up, and I didn't realize that a lot of the lost time I had just goofing around with it, I really was just missing out on just the joy of being able to do it.
Are
So
there
I would have to do that.
now with your grandkids, maybe they're not quite at that age where you can kind of run around a little bit. Are they to that age yet?
My older of the two grandchildren is 4, so certainly I grandpa could probably still keep ahead of him a little bit, and it would be fun to still teach him some of the things, and I would be able to enjoy that part of it. But I do realize that by the time he's a teenager, grandpa is not going to be able to run around and keep up with him. And then my youngest is actually to be born in May,
Oh, not ready
so
yet.
yeah. Not ready yet. Still baking.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, what a blessing that is.
Yes.
Now, are there
Excited.
any sports that you're enjoying now that kind of like channel some of that?
I am very much enjoying. I've enjoyed the Winter Olympics a lot. I like the idea of being able to ski. It's everything from the cross country to the downhill to the ski jump. It looks so freeing, because it's like here you are and you're able to get all of this speed and agility into something that most people can't even stand up straight on. You put two skis on most people and they can barely move. But watching somebody do it that's a professional, it's like, wow, look at that. What athleticism.
Right. They make it look so easy,
They
right?
do.
All of, yeah, when you're really an expert in something, it looks easy, but obviously a lot of hours go in to
Mhm.
becoming an expert to making it look easy, and we know it's not. Now, do you ski now or snowboard?
The most I've gotten is to sledding, but
That counts.
I would like to. My wife is interested that I'll be a good part of the battle. Both of us can kind of get on the buddy slope together
There
and
you go.
work our way up.
There you go.
Yep,
That could be a lot of fun.
it could be.
Absolutely. What what you really want in this season coming up is what?
What I really want is to be able to see the world, and by that, it's almost as literal as it sounds. I want to see it all, not just the tourist traps of the world. I want to see some of those, but I want to go and see the parts of the world that they think that we've been led to believe are not to be seen. I want to go to Russia. I want to see what's going on there. I want to go to the Middle East and move around and see where a lot of the world began. So much of my travels opened my eyes because you think a certain place, and then when you go and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot like what I thought it was, but in other ways, it's nothing like I thought it was. And you learn so much more that, first of all, people are just people. We have different ideas about how life should go, but we still want kind of the same things: to take care of our kids, to have somebody to love and to love us. But you get to really just understand that you get to choose what your vision of something is like. So that's what I would do. I would just continue to go and move around the world and share as much of the knowledge about what I see with everybody else.
Right. So you really pretty much want to go to a lot of places, right? I
Oh
mean,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I want to put my feet on every continent.
Oh, that's a fun goal.
Yes.
That's a very fun goal. I like that. That is super cool. So, and have you made any decisions since we've been chatting about what's next and what's left?
What's next is the semi-retirement. I've decided that my wife and I were gonna leave our current jobs that were, if you call it the career, and then we're gonna move on to something that's a little more part-time while we're figuring out the rest of the plan. We're gonna just do what we've always done, move through life and enjoy it rather than to over plan. It's good to have a plan, but I think sometimes you spend more time planning than you do enjoying. So we're just gonna enjoy. We've got enough money to go and do some things, and we're gonna do those things. And the rest of it, we're just gonna continue to figure out. But we want to enjoy whatever the third act evolves to be, and we're just gonna move through it
Yes.
together.
It's so intentional the way you're doing it to just sort of downsizing careers so that, there's a point at which you might want it to be more of a job than a career because you feel like you put in the time and then you can go home and you're really off. Whereas a career,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like it's on your mind and you're still thinking about it. And then trips, seeing the world, doing
Mm-hmm.
music that you told us about in part one, recording, performing, the grandkids. It sounds delightful, doesn't
It
it?
is. I can't. Well, I say I can't wait. I'm doing it. I'm already starting moving in that direction, and I'm just excited to keep doing it.
Yes. That's one thing I don't think they fully told us when we were younger than we are right now, and that is
Hmm.
what a sweet season it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
You're like, oh no, you're, so concerned about the number and yet it's like, well,
Hmm.
they told us how sweet this was going to be, right?
I
Oh,
think it's the world's best kept secret.
yes, absolutely. Oh, Mike, this has been so wonderful. I once again am
Always is.
just thrilled to have conversations with you. You are a very inspiring, encouraging individual. The life that you have right now, you are absolutely making the most of it and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. And I'm looking forward to seeing how your third chapter unfolds.
It's always a pleasure, and thank you for continuing to let me be a part of this.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure.